Do you want me to give you a haircut before we start?
No, I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, it's fine for now.
Just going to cut that one.
No.
Just that one there.
No.
The one that's bugging you.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Happy New Year, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
I've just dated this episode, haven't I?
What?
People are just going to be flummoxed if they listen to it in 6 months' time. They're not going to know what's going on. Well, welcome to the club. I don't know what is going on. I don't know how this machine works. It's been so long. How long has it been, Thomas?
We were off for 2 weeks, so it's been 3 weeks.
I still can't get my head around your 2 week, 3 week thing. Anyway, so what have you been up to during this? Give us a Reader's Digest version. You've had 2 weeks to come up, or 3 weeks.
Christmas was, relatively quiet, and I'm okay with that.
So am I.
And then Christmas was over,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was New Year's, and then a little after that...
That was pretty quiet too.
Yeah, New Year's also pretty quiet, yeah.
Yeah.
We could hear some fireworks from across the way, but I think the louder thing was the thunder later in the week.
That was a pretty specky thunderstorm.
Yeah.
That was tropical thunderstorm type material, that was. It wasn't very flashy,
No.
but it was rumbly.
Yes, very long, loud rumbles.
Yeah, it was good. Much like my tummy at the moment. Which our dear listener will be able to hear, no doubt, throughout this episode.
And then the chair in my room gave out.
It just had enough.
Yeah, probably something that I saw coming and should have drawn attention to beforehand.
I mean, I have heard squeaks and noises coming from your room that I strongly suspected that's Thomas's chair.
Yeah.
Having worked in offices for a very long time, I know that sound. And so there were alarm bells ringing in my ears that I ignored too, but it's not my problem. You're an adult. You can deal with it, is how I thought it was going to pan out. How did that turn out, Thomas?
How that turned out was that the tilt mechanism failed and took the gas lift locking mechanism with it.
Yeah.
So it was continuously open, which means that if you sat in it, it would go down.
Basically, your chair was depressed. You'd sat on it so many times that it couldn't lift itself up from the doldrums, and it was depressed.
Unless you weren't sitting on it, in which case it would go back up again.
Yeah, see, it saw light then.
Yeah.
It was no longer being sat upon, and so it edged its way up to only be sat upon again.
And so began a hasty rather than considered process of finding a new chair.
Well, it was a balance thing, Thomas.
Yeah.
I mean, you needed a chair.
Yeah.
It was a bit farcical looking at you sitting on this depressed chair with your arms up above your head typing on a keyboard with a mirror periscope looking at the screen. It just wasn't workable for any length of time.
No, especially given that it was bucking and rolling like a bull.
Yeah, yes. It made a really good flight sim seat.
Yeah.
You had roll, yaw, and pitch all happening at once.
Now,
so there was the crunch, apart from the crunch of the seat, but a crunch of actually getting a replacement. But your options weren't terribly great.
it turns out, it transpired after the fact that I could have gone with the same model chair again.
Yeah.
But, it's very faux leather and peeling and
bits of black stuff everywhere by the end of it. I mean, it didn't owe you anything. You'd had it for a while.
No, I think it was a previous birthday present.
Yeah. Not the previous birthday present. It's been many, many years that his posterior has been posted on that.
So yeah, been a good workhorse for a while, but I needed a change. And so out we went to Fantastic Furniture.
Fantastic Furniture. Not a sponsor of this podcast.
No. Found some of the chairs. Failed to sit in the one that you'd recommended to me, because the armrest had been put on the wrong way, so it pinched rather than...
Yes, rather than these armrests splaying outwards, as armrests tend to be set, they splayed inwards.
And encroached on the seating area.
Yes.
And I'm not a small person.
No, he isn't. I can vouch for that.
It didn't work. And so I sat on some of the chairs and was like, still not quite made my mind up. And so off we went. We didn't go to Amart, because their selection was either thin...
I don't know the Amart theme song.
Either thin or not available to physically sit on.
This podcast is not sponsored by Amart.
And the one Officeworks chair that I looked at that wasn't the Bathurst, which was my previous chair, was reviewed terribly. Yeah. So I was like, no.
Just out of interest, did the Bathurst have good reviews?
Can't remember.
Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned that. He's now going to go down a rabbit hole.
Man.
We're going to be here
it's
forever.
It's not going to take that long.
Whilst he's looking that up, I would like to point out that Officeworks are not the sponsors of this podcast. Don't know their jingle either.
Other office supplies stores are available, but not especially available in this area.
No. I mean, that's the thing. There were certainly plenty of options where we could have ordered one online and have it delivered. But with this type of thing, you need to test them. And we certainly determined that office chairs, they're not all the same.
No.
Back lumbar support is different in each one, and shoulder support is in different places in others.
So a couple of days later, back to Fantastic Furniture, sitting in chairs and being like, no, my shoulders are uncomfortable in this chair, and they're also uncomfortable in this other chair.
I like that other chair.
And so I went with a fabric-covered chair, and it's still getting used to it.
Yeah,
I should say it's
not your old chair.
It's not, no, and it's not perfect either.
No.
The cushion is thick, but it doesn't feel thick.
Here he was complaining all the way through. No, that one's too thick. That one's too thick. No, I don't want that. And I'm thinking, they're going to compress, Thomas. But no, there's no convincing that. This is grim stuff. We've been going for 10 minutes talking about chairs.
Yeah, no, the problem is that once they compress, they're going to be thin. And so...
oh dear.
So yeah, I got the last Heath chair in Hobart.
Heath from Fantastic Furniture. Not a sponsor of this podcast.
Still not a sponsor.
No.
Other furniture stores are available. And actually more plentiful than office supplies stores.
Yeah.
Been getting used to that. I've been going on walks.
Yep.
Haven't gone on as many walks as I would have liked, but I have been going on some walks. And if this podcast is late to YouTube, it's probably because I got tired because of a walk.
I went on a walk today. Are we on to me?
Or I went really far and it took a while to get back. Yeah, those have been my 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. What about yours?
As I mentioned, a walk today. I did 24,000 steps today. Went 17 kilometres, which in miles is 17 times 1.61. Or hang on. You take away the number you first thought of and multiply by your mother's maiden name. I think is how you do it, isn't it? Yeah.
It was a long walk.
Kilometres to miles. Miles to kilometres is the 1.61. So what's the other way around?
It's the reciprocal of that. It's
yes.
1 over 1.61.
Well, look, I know that, but it has a number.
Yeah.
I was after the multiplier here, Thomas. I don't know. You can waffle on about your chairs, but you can't give me a multiplier. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This podcast is not brought to you by Welcome Back Cotter.
Little over 6/10 of a mile.
Right. Okay. So you're going to get them to get the calculator out to work out.
I can't remember how far you walked.
17
Yeah.
kilometres.
10.5-ish.
Yeah. Over the hill, down dale, to a river, in fact, that surprisingly, for this river, which is quite steep and rocky, it had fish in it. I've never seen fish in this river before.
Right.
Yeah, so that was quite a surprise. They were about 20 centimetres long, which in inches...
No. It's like a little under 11, isn't it?
What? A little under 11? It's less than that.
How much did you
There's
say?
12 inches to 30
how long
centimetres,
did you say
20 centimetres.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
8.
8. Yes, I should have known
Ish.
that because of picture frames. My goodness, we're waffling. We're not at peak condition coming back into the post-New Year's Christmas season. I do apologise. I really haven't been up to much else other than that's really worth talking about, which I know is a disappointment because I think that is what our dear listeners listen to this podcast for.
You constructed my new chair and
Oh, that's right.
deconstructed my old chair.
and
I know that
got violent with it.
I know that I suggested taking a hammer to the hydraulic lift, but maybe I shouldn't have suggested taking a hammer to the pressurized tube.
Oh, that was so fun. I nearly wiped out an ankle, but with a...
Yeah, you were also wearing sandals.
Yes, whilst I was using a wood splitter. Anyway. I saw a snake today as well. Yeah, and I would like to point out that all snake varieties in Tasmania are venomous. All 3 of them. But one of them is one of the most venomous snakes in the world.
You took a hammer to the gas lift and still did not actually remove it from the thoroughly mangled tilting mechanism.
Oh, no. I just wanted to get it into the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wanted to get into the box. And it went. It's in the box now,
Great.
Thomas. Yeah, the snake isn't. The snake is somewhere up the mountain there, living its snake life to its fullest. Anyway, should we start again?
No.
All right then.
Would it be better?
No, well, that's true. No, that is true. I will not be able to remember the best gags that I've already conjured up for this original recording. So no, it wouldn't be. I'll come up with different ones that might be better. Maybe we should try. And then our dear listeners can decide which version they get. Oh, dear.
Remember, if you want to offer our listeners 2 options, you have to edit those 2 options.
Oh, look, let's watch a video. Let's watch a movie.
Yep.
Let's watch a movie on a video. Let's watch a movie that's on a DVD.
Yep.
Thomas, what movie are we watching today?
We are watching Local Hero.
What, pray tell, is Local Hero, and who chose this film?
You did.
Oh.
Furnace, a small... Furness? It's probably Furness.
Furness, yes. Like Loch Ness. Furness.
Furness.
Dunno, sorry.
It's all one word.
Furness.
Furness.
You need to furness your
I don't.
Scottish accent.
I don't.
Oh, okay. Because it is in Scotland.
Do you want me to read it?
I can take away your DVD, but I can't take away your freedom.
Great. You take it then.
Yeah, but then I'd have to read it in a Scottish accent.
Well, we can't be having that, so I'm going to read it now.
Hey, look, I think I'm justified in this because I have Scottish blood that courses through these veins that have not been pierced by a snake fang at all, ever.
No, but have instead been pierced by several blood-sucking needles.
That's right. Blood-sucking needles from Mars. Okay, please, tell us about this quaint little village of Furness.
Furness, a small Scottish village, sits in close proximity to North Sea oil, and Texan billionaire and oil magnate Felix Harper wants to buy it as the site of his refinery, at whatever the cost. And I'm just realising that even though I only intended to read that one paragraph, the other two much longer paragraphs contain relevant information. I'll continue.
Okay.
In the mistaken belief that, because of his name, one of his executives is Scottish, he dispatches Mac McIntyre to Furness to negotiate with the locals. On his arrival, Mac is pleasantly surprised to find that the mayor, Gordon Urquhart, they'll say in the film, and the villagers are happy to sell their property in return for big money. That's the second paragraph.
Oh, so, sorry. Ding! Carriage return.
However, as Happer... Happer? Yes, Happer. However,
it's a filter. It's an air filter, Thomas. It filters small, microscopic particles out of the air.
The top half of this text is dark brown on light brown, and the bottom half of this text is dark blue on light blue. However, as Happer flies in to complete the deal, a major complication looms. A done deal? Not quite. Ben Knox, whose shack sits on the beach that has been in his family for centuries, is not interested in selling. Why? Who'd look after the beach then? His response. The old man refuses to budge, and it's going to take a lot of persuading, not money, to change his mind.
Oh, Danu. All right. I've insulted all of our Scottish listeners. I do apologise.
I added commas to that last sentence.
Uh-huh.
There were no
tell.
commas in that last sentence.
Yeah. There were no O'Connors in that sentence.
The old man refuses to budge, and it's going to take a lot of persuading, not money, to change his mind.
They obviously got bored typing. I need to finish the sentence. Ding.
Oh, nobody's going to be able to read it anyway.
All right, that's what we're watching. I do pity you all, dear listeners. You have no idea what we're watching from that guff. We're going to watch it anyway. Thomas is going to take it out of its case. He's become weakened over the last 2/3 weeks. He's going to have to start exercising.
Yes, as it turns out, walking doesn't do much for the arms.
No.
Except sunburn.
You could fry eggs on this lad's arms, I tell you. Anyway, he's going to put the DVD into the DVD player, and we're going to watch it and come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
That was terrible.
Yes, it was.
You mongrel. So what did you think?
Yeah, that was good. I quite enjoyed that. It's a funny little film.
Yeah, I think it's the closest we've come in all of our viewings to English quirk, as opposed to French quirk, which we've come across on a number of occasions. It's just a quirky, strange, but oddly satisfying...
It's a fish out of water film.
Or a mermaid out of water film. Just so many characters that don't necessarily have to be there, but I'm glad that they were. I mean, even the obnoxious therapist had his moments. Completely unnecessary and could possibly be considered padding, but it also helped give you some idea about how, I can't remember what his name, the boss.
Happer,
what kind of man he was. And so you can better determine or accept his behaviour later in the film.
And everybody wins, except for Mac.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the interesting question as to, and it is the nature of such quirkiness of films, is that there is some ambiguity at the end that one can make guesses as to what happens next.
There are a few characters in this film, but it's all the sorts of people that you'd expect to find in a town like this.
Yeah. And certainly if you watch UK television, there are certainly plenty of shows where you've got villages or seaside towns or that kind of community that has its list of strange, unusual, straight characters that all make up the community. But it always tends to be still slightly alien to reality or what you're used to, but can still be accepted as, okay, I can believe that happening. Whether I can believe all of them happening in this small little village, I don't know, but they all needed to be there. And the motorcycle, the rabbit, all of them needed to be there. It makes you wonder whether there were a whole heap of other characters that they, okay, we need to pare it down a bit. No, but we're keeping the rabbit.
The film is not 86 minutes, by the way.
No.
The back of the case, I don't know if we even brought it up on recording.
No, I don't think we did. So.
The back of the case says 86 minutes. It's more like 116. Oh, 106.
106, yeah. And also discovered in working out, hey, that was longer than what the case said. It is, at least in Australia, streaming on Prime. So if you're interested. Peter Capaldi was young.
Yeah, this was how he got his start.
It's just bizarre. A lot more physical than I have seen him. And he's certainly quite physical in Doctor Who. But he was costumed well to accentuate his gangliness, certainly in this. I think he's grown into his body a lot better, but he is still quite gangly. But in his youthful years, I don't know how old he would have been when he did this, but he's almost Mr. Bean-like, but not, well, sometimes he was at that same level of physical. Everything doesn't quite fit around him, and he doesn't fit in his surroundings either. It's quite a bizarre performance, but very satisfying to watch. The only other note that I've written, so it may be a short segment here, I don't know what else you have to say about it, but there was a phrase that somebody said, they've been invaded by America. And I thought that was somewhat timely, considering the goings-on concerning Greenland. Yeah. Anyway.
And then the Russians show up.
In
the middle of the Cold War.
Talking about getting his hi-fi system from Japan. And,
Everyone has these perceptions of Soviet Russia, and then Soviet Russia collapses, and it's like, oh, actually, they were mostly like us.
Yeah, Billy Joel recognised that. Yeah, very early on. But, I loved it. And it has been many, many years since I've watched it. And so I was quite hesitant. And certainly the world that it's set in doesn't exist anymore. And as far as aging in that respect, I think it helps for me having to have grown up in that time. So it came out in 83. So I would have been 15 when this came out. So it was basically my growing up years. So technology-wise, I could recognise, the fact of having your digital watch washed away is possibly neither here nor there these days, but that imagery was very, very strong. I knew how important a digital watch was in that age. They also make mention of them in Time Bandits. Around the same era, the digital watch was very much a status symbol. So, I mean, I guess it translates. If it was his Apple Watch, he could upgrade it to that. But also the the whole communication with back home
Yep.
is totally different and was very important to the plot as well. So the use of the public telephone to call work back in the US is quite a central theme throughout the film that doesn't have a lot of meaning these days. I think you translated it well enough, but yeah, it will age more and more as far as that is concerned. I mean, that's the nature of technology, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway.
The contrast between Happer's office and the quaintness of a relatively dead village where there's one guy who does everything.
Yeah. And taking that one step further, it was going straight from his office to having a business meeting inside a little shack on the beach made from flotsam and jetsam.
And neither time feeling like he was out of his element.
No.
It's good.
Yeah, I recommend it. If you're on Prime, I mean, I can't guarantee that it's showing in the US on Prime, but...
My one complaint sags a little in the middle during the festival.
Yeah, certainly the segment with the dance with Peter Capaldi. Again, important to show where he was sitting in that world, but... Yeah, that did stretch a little bit longer than... I mean, all of those pieces of music were written by Mark Knopfler, and they've got to be used.
Yeah. When you get to the third or fourth track, it's like, are we really still here? I don't...
Hey, they've paid for the band, so... All right. Well, do you have anything else?
No.
We might move on then.
Segment has no title. Thank you. And we will start over on Discord with Entuosferatu.
Hi, Entuosferatu.
I'm disappointed, but not surprised, that Next is not great. I think the concept is pretty strong, and I could see a good story coming out of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nick Cage movies, the first bits of the blurb for the next movie, not the capital N Next movie, made me think of The Wicker Man. I don't think I've seen that, or the original.
Or the original. No, I haven't either. I've caught bits of both of them when they've been showing late at night, and yeah, just haven't appealed to me. And there are certain scenes that I've certainly been aware of with Nicolas Cage in that movie. Concerning bees, I think.
Yes.
That I think everyone has some inkling of. But it just doesn't appeal to me. So I can't see that jumping out at us for this podcast. I don't read that into Osferatu as a suggestion. I mean, seeing as you haven't watched either of them, I don't consider it a recommendation.
On Facebook, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Says, clearly orange is the new gold.
Yes.
Thank you for watching this for me so I don't do so accidentally. To my tastes.
What, like Wicker Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that comes on late at night for you, or Next comes on late for you, yeah, wouldn't bother.
To my tastes, I'd argue that our fizzy lemonade has never seen lemons.
No.
And the number of people who have tried to offer me lemonade as a substitute for lemon squash is far too many given the total lack of similarity between the two. Well, apart from the sugar and the fizz.
Did I tell you last episode, within this context of lemonade and 7-Up and what have you, my adventure whilst on an airline in the US?
No, I don't think you did.
Okay. Well, I was craving for a lemonade, as in an Australian/English lemonade, the one that Helen is referring to here, which, yeah, has probably never seen a lemon in its life, but that's what my tongue actually craved after the stress of being on an aeroplane for so long. I just want lemonade. And I got the strange look from the air hostess when I said, and I knew instantly, as soon as I said lemonade, that, oh, we're going to have language translations here. And I couldn't, for the life of me, remember what that translated to, or at least got close to, for the US. And so I thought, oh, well, how about an orange squash? And that didn't work either. And I thought, oh, we could get you some orange juice and some soda water. That'll be fine. So I got a little container of orange juice and basically just fizzy water, and mix those up. And it tasted awful, but it was sugary enough, and I didn't want to confuse her even more. So, yeah, sorry, Helen. Do go on.
I thought Mark Knopfler was in the Travelling Willbillies. Actually, no I didn't, but I went with TW as my first guess, just as Colin said it, and before he didn't mispronounce the Notting Hill Billies. Or did he?
Or did he?
Or I'm so confused. I don't think I actually went and checked what you did with that.
No, you didn't.
No.
And I'm not going to tell you. If your curiosity is piqued enough, you can go and peek.
I love Local Hero and the soundtrack, and then there's a guess. So
I do have the soundtrack on CD.
Right.
In the whole cupboard, yes. And it does have all of those dance pieces, so I'll get it out later so we can have a shindig. Whatever the Scottish... Oh, they did have a name for it, didn't they? It started with a K.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
No.
Dear listener, if you know what the Scottish equivalent of a shindig is that starts with K, please write in and let us know.
And then Helen provides a guess, so I'm going to move over to YouTube, where we find M.
Hi, M.
Rest assured, Sprite and 7-Up do still exist in the US.
I suspected so.
As far as favourite sodas go, though, I'm more of a Mountain Dew guy, which is technically a different citrusy carbonated beverage.
Yeah, it's interesting, when Mountain Dew was introduced in Australia, it was not caffeinated. There have been a number of drinks that have had US titles, and my understanding is flavour-wise very similar, but they haven't been caffeinated. But over the last 5-6 years, a number of our soft drinks have changed over to being caffeinated. And yeah, caffeine tends to do interesting things to me, so I tend to steer away from it. And that made me really sad, because I really liked Mountain Dew until they caffeinated it, so I had to stop.
Yeah. Caffeine not really a thing that I've needed, so... And it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which will take us up to the guesses.
It will.
We have two relatively unique guesses.
Relatively unique.
One from M and one from Helen.
Mm-hmm.
Helen has gone with next, spelt as you'd expect.
Taking up all 8 characters.
And M has gone with simply next, taking just 4 characters, spelt the way you would expect.
Wow.
See our previous episode if you're not sure.
Yes. So, all of those extra spaces, M.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? I guess you were thinking like I was.
Yes.
M, you're absolutely correct. Just a straight N-E-X-T. And I was relieved, because trying to spin a dial to select letters and then hitting enter and then spinning the dial through all the letters and numbers to hit the next one, no way was I going to, if I didn't have to. So well done, M. Sorry, Helen.
And now I'm wondering what you've done this week with file names.
Indeed.
Yes.
There were a number of options.
Yes. That's probably what I would have guessed first.
Yep. It was almost something else, but that didn't flow in my head as well, so that is what I've gone for. So, in this regard, I have used all 8 characters.
Yes.
So, please, if you want to guess what characters I've used for the file name, the 8-character file name for this week's recording, what am I saying? It's hot.
Or any other sort of commentary, film suggestions.
Or what the name of a shindig in Scotland is called.
Yeah.
I think starts with K. Please, let us know. Write those responses down Those places are listed in the show notes and at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I think we'll move on.
Yeah.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And it's your turn.
It's my turn, and I do have something in mind.
Excellent.
Yesterday,
All my troubles seem so far away.
I got a... You know Facebook.
I do.
Sometimes they will resurface years-old posts in the hopes that you might interact with them. And invariably, you don't.
No.
Because those were in the past for a good reason. Yesterday, a memory surfaced of a post that you had made,
Right.
expressing disappointment that I had seen a film and you'd not been there for it.
Oh, okay.
This film is on our shelf, and it comes from a box set of 2 films with the same actress.
Oh. Is that what makes it the box set? It
Yes.
has the same actress.
Yes.
Right. Oh, it's Princess Diaries 2, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
It's a comedy from 1972.
Right. Okay. And would that actress happen to be Barbara Streisand?
It would.
Ah, okay. So your story, your background story, I had visions of you going to the cinema without me.
No.
I think
This
you went to
took place in a very small room, not particularly far away from the television.
Right. Okay. So you got the full widescreen experience.
No.
Oh, wow. Actually, I watched this fairly recently, but I enjoy it enough to not be disappointed at your selection, as long as it's what I'm thinking it is. Would this be What's Up, Doc?
This is What's Up, Doc. A film that I believe I have not seen since that day 10 years ago.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it holds up since those many, many years since you watched it. Would you tell our dear listener what the plot synopsis is?
What's Up, Doc joyously recaptures the bubbly style of 1930s screwball comedies and firmly establishes Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal as a romantic duo uniquely endearing in screen history. Included are a daffy luggage mix-up plot, dippy dialogue exchanges, and a marvellous example of the art of hotel room demolition, and one of the funniest chase sequences ever.
Absolutely.
All over San Francisco. There is no part of this description that is not in some way self-congratulatory.
Oh, no. But spoilers, I think it's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could have watched that. Each time I have watched it, I could well have been. I don't know what I'm saying here again. But next week could be different. I might be bitterly disappointed in it. You'll have to listen to find out. We hope that you can join us when we watch What's Up, Doc? But until then, we'll catch you next time.
That's all, folks.
Oh, all right then. I'll pay you that. Go home.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Other furniture stores are available, and actually more plentiful than office supplies stores.
Yeah. Good. I'm going to have
Yeah.
to edit that sniff out now.